again, it's Christina from Sunshine and Flora. So in today's video, I'm doing some more seed starting, and seed starting is probably something I'm going to be continually doing for over the next 2 months or so, which is really exciting. But today I am starting some dahlias from seed. Now, if you have grown dahlias from seed before, you know it's almost a total surprise and you never really know what you're going to get, which is the fun of it. The dahlias that I specifically use for my market bouquets, I grow those from tubers because I know exactly what I'm going to get. I know that they're going to have the look that I want and the vase life that I want. But I really like to start dahlias from seed just for the fun of it and the surprise of it. So these specific dahlias will not be going out in my market row area. I'm going to tuck these into my cottage garden area in my home garden just for fun, for some added extra colors. So I thought that this would be a fun video to show you my process for starting my dahlias from seed. And then at the end of the video, I'm also going to grab a couple tubers out of my storage from last year because I want to get those set up to take some cuttings. But first, let's get the seeds started. So the dahlia seeds that I am starting today are from Floret. These are actually from last year and they came with my Discovering Dahlias book. I started some of these last year and got some really fun results. I actually ended up getting a couple full-on doubles that worked fantastic in my market bouquets, which I wasn't expecting. So I'm going to do this again this year and see what I get. So the supplies that I am using are my seed starting mix. I'm using this organic burpees seed starting mix. I used it last year. I love this. It's nice and light and lofty. It also has coconut coir in it, which helps retain moisture. So I have that pre-moistened. And then my dahlia seeds, I just start in these compostable pots. This worked really great for me last year, so I'm gonna do it again. I do have a tray that I put underneath because once these sprout, I'll be bottom watering them. And of course I need a humidity dome. So I have already pre-moistened my soil. Now you want your soil wet, but when you squeeze it, you don't want any of the water coming out. So I'm gonna go ahead and just fill up my pots first. Last year I started my dahlia seeds about this same time, and timing wise for when they got put out into the garden, it ended up being about perfect. Now I also do pinch these once they get to a certain growth rate, so I'll make sure to post updates when I do that on here on my YouTube channel and my Instagram account, so make sure to follow that as well. All right, these are filled almost to the top, which is perfect. I'm gonna rinse my hands off and we'll get the seeds put in here. Okay, so I have got my seeds. I have just enough to do 1 seed per cell. I might have an extra where I can do 2, so I'm gonna use up all of my seeds because I of course want to see what all of these are. So first I'm just gonna lay it right on top of the soil. In a couple of these, I'm gonna have room to put 2 seeds in. Okay. Now dahlias do not need light to germinate, so I'm gonna cover them with a little bit of the seed starting mix. Not a ton, maybe 1/4 of an inch. Just right over top of the seed. And then I'm gonna mist it down to settle the soil. Okay, they're ready to go. So now that these are all ready to go on my seed tray, all I need to do is put the humidity dome on top, and then these are going to go on my grow light station on a heat mat under my grow lights. Now, because they are covered with soil, that means they don't need light to germinate, but I like to go ahead and put them under my grow lights so when they do emerge, they automatically have that light. So at the end of this video, I'll show you my grow light setup and where these are going. Okay, So the next thing I'm gonna do today is I have 2 square pots here. I'm gonna get these set up with a couple of tubers that I wanna take cuttings from this year. That's gonna multiply my stock of those 2 particular varieties that were my favorites from last year that I did not order more of this year. So I'm gonna go ahead and get some pre-moistened potting mix ready and we'll get those set up. Okay, so I have my pots ready for my dahlia tubers. These are just square nursery pots that I had annual flowers in last year. I like to save those from year to year so that I am able to reuse them. And the tubers that I have are pretty small, so these pots will work great. If you had longer or bigger tubers, you're probably gonna want a deeper pot, but this is gonna work just fine for what I have. So the 2 that I am going to root today are, and I'll put pictures up on the screen, Linda's Baby and Sweet Natalie. These were plants that I just had single tubers from last year, and I want to generate more stock with them for this season, so this is why I'm doing this. Now, these I had stored in saran wrap. I do have 1 more Linda's Baby left in here, so I'm gonna put that back in storage, but this one I want to try to get some cuttings off of. So the process for this is actually really simple. Now tubers, when you do this, you want to make sure that it has all 3 parts. You want to make sure that the tuber has the tuber itself, the neck, and then you want the growth point on top. And so when you look at a tuber, you can see the little swelling darker spot. That is the eye. That's where you're going to get your growth point. And so you want to make sure that you have one of those on your tuber or it's not going to grow. And all I'm going to do is nestle this right down in my soil, right in the pot, tuck him in, and that's it. You want to make sure that your neck is above ground because that's where the growth points are going to come out of. So I want to bury the tuber, but I want the top of the neck sticking out. So let me do that with the Sweet Natalie. I'm gonna actually grab a little more soil for this one because he's taller. I'm adding a little more to this one too, and then I'm just gonna mist it to moisten the top. All right, and then I wanna mark them so I know exactly how they are. And that's it, these are all ready to go. So within a couple weeks, I should start seeing some growth off the top of these tubers. Now I'm gonna go put these under my grow lights, just like the seeds that I'm starting. And you wanna make sure that your room temperature is about 60 to 70 degrees because we wanna trick these into making them think it's spring. So they need to start waking up. So usually 60 to 70 degrees is the room temperature where all of my grow lights are. So it should be perfect. So let's go ahead and head down to the basement and I'm gonna show you where these guys are gonna live for the next couple months. Okay, so we are down in my basement at home and this is where my entire grow light setup is. You can see I do not have very much going on yet. Pretty much my eucalyptus and my lisianthus that I have started. But in the next few weeks, I will definitely be adding to these shelves. So I'm gonna put these dahlias up on my top shelf. My seeds are going to go on a heat mat. And once I see full germination, I'll be taking the humidity dome off. The tubers I will not put on a heat mat. These should wake up just fine with the room temperature. So in a couple weeks, I should start seeing growth off these tubers, and then I'll report back with how I'm actually going to take cuttings from these. Okay, so that's gonna do it for this video. Make sure to stay up to date on my Instagram account and through this YouTube channel. I'm gonna be posting updates on everything. Again, I should see some growth from those dahlia tubers within the next couple weeks, and then I'll be starting to take cuttings off of those to up my stock of both of those varieties for this year. And because I am starting those so early, I'm hoping to get maybe 5-6 cuttings off of each tuber, which those I can put into the ground and I will be able to get stock this season from those. So really it's pretty exciting how you can multiply your plants so easily. So stay tuned for how that goes for me, and I have a lot more seeds starting coming up in the next month or two, plus soon I'm going to be sharing my whole garden plan as well because that is almost finalized. So we'll see you soon.